Hello, benvenuti, bentornati, and welcome back. My name is Giulia, io sono Giulia, and as always, I'm delighted to have you here. I've missed a few weeks, again, sorry, but it happens. I'll get into the reasoning of that in the next video. For this video, as by request, I'm going to talk about the cats and how that was. So, it was an interesting experience. For those of you who have been following for a while, you'll know that we have immigrated from South Africa to northern Italy, and it took quite a bit of doing. I only started filming the first, the last year of it, but it was actually a little over 4 years of work that went into us getting here. And one of those things that we had to deal with was getting the cats over. So initially when we decided to come over, we only had 4 cats, and then things happened, animals were abandoned and my heart's too big sort of a situation. And now we have 6 cats, and we've decided to bring over all 6 cats because I wasn't going to move without them, and that's that. And it wasn't an easy task. We weren't sure how we were going to go about it. When we first started this whole thing, we had no idea what it would take and how much money it would take to actually get the cats over. But for the most part, we knew that we wanted to use an agency so that we didn't miss any steps. We did some research into it and realized that you could easily miss a step or two, and that's really not good news for the cats. Many countries, once the animal arrives and they don't have the proper paperwork, they are put down, and that's something we were just simply not going to risk. So we decided to go with an agency, and the agency that we went with in South Africa is called Global Paws. I'll leave a link for you down in the description as well as up top of the video, so you can have a look at them. And if you're deciding to move from South Africa, to give them a try, or even if you're just moving domestically within South Africa, you can also give them a call. They are fantastic, and all the agents that we worked with were great. They were able to help us in getting all 6 cats here on one airway bill instead of having them separated, which potentially could have been even further traumatic for the cats. Alright, so the first step then was getting hold of Global Paws and figuring out what we had to do. Then we got the list of things that we had to do prior to them flying. One of those was making sure that they're all microchipped, which they were already. That's something we're quite diligent about, and I would certainly urge you to be diligent about it as well. It can really help animals find their home again, and it helps us keep track of, basically where these animals belong, and it also limits kind of abandonment. Well, one hopes anyway. Alright, so we had them microchipped, and we had to make sure all of their vaccinations were up to date, and that we do quite diligently as well. Every year they go in and get their shots. Then we had to do a rabies vaccination, and after the rabies vaccination they then went for the rabies titer test. And the titer test in this case, because we were moving to Europe, had to be sent to a lab in Germany, and that made it a little bit more costly, but all worth it, of course. So we had that done, and they were essentially then prepped. Paperwork wise, we had to prepare their booklets and certifications that they had the titer test and also the titer test results. Then they were checked by the state vet just before flying. Okay, so for traveling, their actual traveling, we had these awesome travel crates, and those were also supplied by Global Paws as part of their service, and I particularly like them. The cats really like them. They had a little bit of crate training with them about 3 weeks before we left, and I thought that they might hate them after the travel, but they really didn't. So we had these crates, and you obviously get to keep them And they're so large that the cats can lie down, they can stand up all the way, and they can turn around in them. It is fairly decent amounts of space. I suppose, you know, nothing short of being in an airplane, especially economy class. It's kind of the feeling that I got. They also still really enjoy the crates and do lie in them from time to time on a cold day. The cushions that they supply on the inside help with their temperature, so it maintains their temperature, as well as being absorbent in case of, you know, urine or anything else like that. So fantastic wooden crates that the cats traveled in, and all of their information gets stapled to the crate. So if they're going through transit like our cats did, then, you know, the documentation is easily accessible and it's easily traced, because the airway bill number and everything is on there, so they know exactly where they need to go. Which might sound a bit crazy, but you are shipping them, so it does need to have an airway bill on it. And yeah, that was the sort of the travel part of it for them that we had to prepare beforehand. Then it came time to actually leaving. And I will say that up until that point, I was pretty confident about the whole process. But I think as any pet owner, you get to a point where you start to realize, okay, these animals are not going to be with me, they're not going to be in my care for a certain amount of time, and I'm not going to be able to check up on them. It is frightening. Let me tell you, it was very frightening, and I really could not wait to see them. I did not sleep very well. I'm sure neither did my husband. We just wanted to know that they were safe. And so because we have 6 cats, we weren't able to send them via like KLM or Lufthansa, because they weren't able to take more than 4 cats at a time on one airway bill. And obviously for us, that was a bit of an issue. So the agent at Global Paws decided that it would be best if we went with a commercial permit, because we had more than 5 animals, and she suggested Emirates, being slightly more expensive than other airlines, but their service is better than many other airlines, because you're able to take obviously more than 5 cats or more than 5 animals with you, while their transit service is also governed by another pet travel agency, and they have proper catcheries and kennels for the animals to do their transit period, because they have to wait there a few hours before going again. And there they also clean out the cages. Well, obviously they clean out the cages at the catchery, but they also clean out the crates. So by the time the cats got here, they had actually been cleaned and just had a little bit of mess on them from the water in the car right here. Alright, so it came to the point where the cats had to travel. Being on a commercial license, or, you know, going the commercial route, the cats weren't going to be picked up directly from our house and then go to the airport. They first had to go to Global Paws for about 2.5 days and be checked by the state vet there. This has a lot to do with the reasoning behind the laws and transporting animals on a commercial license. It's a little bit harder, but in some ways can be cheaper if you do have as many animals as we do. Alright. So they then came to pick them up from the Airbnb we were staying in. If you want to know why we were staying in an Airbnb, I'll leave links to that video down in the description and up top for you as well. It's a little bit of a sad story, but it's okay. And so yeah, they came to pick them up from the Airbnb, and they went over to Global Paws. The next day we got some pictures from Global Paws, and the cats looked pretty relaxed, which made us feel very confident. But once they got on the plane, we weren't going to hear about them until they arrived here in Italy. Going with Emirates, they had to do their transit in Dubai. So they flew to Dubai, stayed there for several hours, and then flew to Milan, and were picked up by another agency called Relopaws or Relocat here in Italy, and they phoned us while they were waiting at customs for the cats and let us know what time they were going to be here. And he arrived exactly when he said he would. With the cats, they were meowing and they were frantic and they were a little bit confused, but they were happy to be here and happy to see people that they knew. So once he arrived with them, it had been around 5 days that we hadn't seen the cats. It was pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie, as I said, it was very scary at times, just not knowing if they were okay. But you know, I could also just reassure myself that it was going to be alright, because, well, this agency just made us feel really positive about it, and all the reading that I did about the transit in Dubai was all positive. You know, there was very little negativity about the service that they provide, as well as, you know, how the animals were when they arrived. And also with Global Paws, they've seemingly never lost an animal in the 30 years that they've been open doing international travel for pets. So, you know, I think we chose well, and clearly we did. In terms of how the cats decided, now I'm getting confused in my own words here. In terms of how the cats actually, you know, settled down and enjoyed just kind of having open space again, it was pretty good. The first week they were definitely a bit confused and they escaped 1 or 2 times, but nothing crazy. You know, when I went out and called, they came home and they were just excited about exploring the place. So now they've been here about 2 months, I believe, same as me. Actually a little over 2 months, and I gotta say, they seem very happy here. They've got a decent garden space, and the inside of the house is nice and open where they can still run around. They have lots of beds, they have all of their things because our shipment did arrive, which you'll hear about in the next video. But yeah, the shipment arrived with all of their things, and once I laid that out, their blankets and things that they were more familiar with, like the carpets, they were much happier. And it was fantastic to see them relax and get into the garden. So yeah, the garden's about 250 square meters, which is not huge, and it's certainly not the farm that they're used to being able to explore, but it's a garden, and that's way better than the Airbnb or being inside a crate. And so they all have their little spots in the garden. They've relaxed and enjoyed their time here, you know. We have a bit of playtime almost every day, so I'm trying to interact with them more to keep them stimulated. And we're also working on a project where we'll make sort of climbing areas and bridges and ramps so that they can fully enjoy the trees without being able to get out of the garden for now. And in time we will start going on walks with them again, which I'm sure a few of them are dying to do. They certainly miss their walkies time. Which might sound weird for a cat, but they really do enjoy that kind of interaction and being able to go on adventures with, you know, the people that are here for them, that like us. Hello. Are you coming to say hello, little bun? Hello. 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 Yeah. Case in point, it's a little mooncake, or not so little mooncake. As you can see, she's very relaxed, and all of them have been quite happy, I would say. They're getting used to their new routine, and I think they feel safe here, probably because we also feel safe here. So yeah, it makes them feel safe. Yeah, absolutely love being with them, and I'm so excited that we were able to get them here with the help of those 2 agencies safely and without any issue. I will say, when they did arrive, they were obviously a little shook up, as I said, and a little bit confused, but honestly they were mostly relieved. There was no cowering, they weren't hiding. They just came out and they were happy to be here. The worst that happened was Sam was a little constipated for 2 days, but he does have feline AIDS, So it was to be expected that he would have something abrupt happen. Otherwise, everything went really well. I couldn't recommend this service more. And obviously, if you have any questions about, the specifics of it, do let me know down in the comments. I will do a later video where I break down all the costs of our travel, and it will include the cost of getting the cats over there, and I will try to make sure it's, how can I say, palatable for everyone, in the sense that I won't just talk about South African rands, I'll convert it to euros as well, so you're able to take it all in, and perhaps even dollars. But yes, so that was the cats. That's how they came over. They settled in just fine. And there's really nothing else to it, which is probably a good thing. So, for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, alla prossima!